Thank you, and welcome back to Through the Door, the insider's perspective on running a business. I'm Megan Comfort, small business manager at Nevada State Bank, and this is a podcast where we interview business owners, business leaders, and community leaders and get them to share their stories and some of the things they've learned along the way doing different things in our state. So with that being said, I want to say that this is a very special episode today. We actually have Katie Grimes here. She is Nevada born and raised, a world-renowned swimmer, and also an Olympic medalist. Her first Olympics in Japan at the age of 15, and then ultimately bringing home the silver medal in one of her races at the most recent Olympics in Paris. So very, very excited to have her here. Her, honestly, accomplishments are just a mile long at this point, and she's only 18 years old. 18 or 19? 19. Oh, and you're 19 years old. All right. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for being here today.
Me.
Yes. So we usually start these podcasts off just learning a little bit about kind of your origin story. Like you have a unique one. You're a professional athlete, and you've been to the Olympics now, like not once, but twice. How did you kind of fall into that?
Yeah, I mean, I started swimming firstly for water safety, and then my two brothers closest in age to me got into competitive swimming. At the time, I was only 6, but I started because I wanted to do everything they were doing. And so we started with a club team here in Las Vegas called Sandpipers in Nevada. And from there, it just kind of took off. I don't think there's a typical, perfect origin or path to take from starting in stroke school and learning the basics of a sport to being a professional athlete. So I think it looks different for everyone. But I would say that mine was just a little bit unique in the way that, it's something that I first loved doing and then never really had any insight to what this sport could do for you at the elite level. So learning that journey along the way was really cool.
I do think that's interesting. You started, obviously, especially in Las Vegas or just having a little kid, I'm sure your parents were all of our kids need to learn how to swim, right? Especially pools are everywhere in Vegas. So just having that safety right out the gate, I know because I'm doing it with my kids right now. But I guess at what point did you start to recognize I'm really good at this? Were you you got in and just a minnow from the beginning just crushing it through the water? Or was it something that you were I'm not great at it and I want to keep doing it until I get really good?
Yeah. I definitely would say I wasn't the fastest little kid. I honestly don't really know. All I remember is just loving it and love going to practice and being with friends and making those connections. And sports really do teach you a lot at a young age, even if you don't realize it. But swimming specifically is very individualized. So I feel even though there isn't a huge team aspect, just going to practice every day and being with friends, I feel gives you that dose of teamwork and, just learning how to communicate with people. So growing up in the sport, that was my favorite thing about it, was being with friends and practicing. I never really got super competitive with it until I was probably maybe 11, 12. So there was definitely a period where I just was I don't want to go to practice, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to see some progress, I was going up through the ranks at Sandpipers, and I had a coach that really saw a lot of potential in me and discussed with my parents that, I could, have a good long future in this sport. And I didn't, really know much about that or what that could look like, but I knew I wanted to do it for a long time, and I just loved working hard. I liked the fact that you could set goals and work for those things. And so my older brother was in the national group at the time, and he went to Olympic trials in 2016. So going and watching him compete there kind of was what sparked that journey for me, just watching that competition and seeing just the elite level of swimmers there competing and seeing the scale of the sport, I think, is what really like started a fire in me. So I went home and like immediately wrote down like, I want to go to the Olympics, like put it on my ceiling and, decorated my kickboard, was like, I'm going to go to the Olympics, like just was super gung-ho on that and worked for it every single day. And obviously still had like a lot of fun in the sport because swimming is really fun. Like I still do it for like recreational leisure, like as well. Like I like just being in the water. So I feel like that is super like fitting.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I love that story. I think there's so many things that I think people can learn about being involved in a sport. Like one, it just starting off as a sense of just fun, right? And enjoying hanging out with your friends and then getting to do something that is also like athletic and challenging.
Yeah.
But then having somebody tap you on the shoulder and just say, you know what, actually, like if you worked at this, you could go very far. And then seeing somebody in your family also achieve that level and then being like, all right, now I have a goal and a path forward for this. So tell me about once you've identified that, like you wrote that on your wall and you're like on the kickboard and you're like, I'm going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Did your mindset or your training kind of change now towards that? Because you're like, I have this pretty lofty goal, like this big goal that I want to achieve. Tell me a little bit about how maybe your mindset started to change just around the sport and making sure that you were moving towards that.
Yeah. I would say there was definitely like a big shift in my mindset after that. I really started working hard. Like I just remember looking back on those years, like ages 12 to 15, like I was locked, like, and I still am. I'm just a very like competitive, like focused person.
You're a nice competitive person. But I feel like if I was in the water with you, you'd be like, yeah, get out of my way.
Yeah, it's definitely like an in-pool only thing. I feel like, I mean, definitely growing up with brothers, I'm just competitive at nature. So like, I don't know, it depends on what it is, but some of my older brothers still think they could beat me in swimming. So I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, let's jump in the water right now.
Like,
come on.
They never have. They're never, I'm like, all right, let's get in.
All right, that's it. We're challenging you. Yeah. Brothers, get in the water. Let's see this. We'll televise it.
I'll do it. I'll do anyone. I'll do it. I like racing, so it's fun. But yeah, so, that whole just like lead up after that, I feel like was very, like, I don't know. I just remember being really passionate that whole time. It never like consumed me to the point where I feel like when you have just like this one huge goal and that's all you think about, like it can cause burnout for sure. But I think I was really good at just enjoying the process and like focusing on the day to day, and not getting too ahead of myself, because at the time, like I wasn't, in my head, I was not like there. I wasn't supposed to like be good or like supposed to be having these goals at the time. It just felt like maybe someone from the outside looking in would have been like, what? Like that's your goal? But to me, it seemed like manageable and like something that I could do. So, I mean, obviously like my parents believed in me and my family and coaches believed in me, but it was like, I don't know, it just would have been weird. I would love to go back in time and like look at myself and be like, I wonder what that would have been like.
I love that you had this goal that, yes, I would agree. If I heard of a friend saying, oh yeah, my kid's training for the Olympics, I'd be like, cool. I don't know if I would be like, really? Like, could they get there, in my mind? But I love that you were just surrounded by people that were like, yeah, this is totally achievable and doable and you can do this. Like there's this meme that I saw the other day on social media and it just talked about success being these really tiny incremental steps towards your goal. It's not these huge like leaps and bounds, A lot of people want to try to speed up the process. They want to try to like cut corners or, cut some steps out to try and get there faster.
Yeah.
But in reality, like that's not the way that it works. It works through that small incremental improvement. And I love that you were like, I didn't try to get too far ahead of myself. Like I tried to just focus on the things that I had to do. And that built over time to where now fast forward, at what age were you when you did the first Olympics?
15.
My gosh. 15. I don't even want to tell you what I was doing at 15. Like I don't think people would not like me. But so you go to Japan.
Yes.
Was that your first time traveling internationally?
It was, yeah.
So what was that like?
Well, there's like definitely a lot of firsts for that whole experience. Like I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a cell phone. Like I had never been out of the country. I had never made a team at all. Like usually you go through the ranks of like junior team or like it'd be like zone select camp and then like a junior team and then the national team and then the Olympic team. But I had done nothing. Like nobody knew my name. Like no one was expecting it. I wasn't expecting it. And so just
did you
like,
feel that way at the Olympics? Where people are like, and you are?
I feel like once I got to the Olympics, I felt way more natural, like way more in my place. Like the team was great. The team was very welcoming. And so I didn't feel super, like fish out of water at the Olympics. But at Olympic trials and like when I did qualify for the team, I was like, whoa, no one like knows who I am. Like, and they should not know who this 15-year-old is. But yeah, it was just like really an awesome experience because I obviously knew everyone on the team. I was like Katie Ledecky and like Allison Schmidt and all these like awesome people that I had the privilege of being on a team with. So that was really awesome. So when it came to, traveling out of the country for the first time, my parents weren't able to come with me because it was like COVID and all that stuff. There was no fans in the stands.
Oh my God. That must have been scary for mom and dad. I would be so terrified to let
It was definitely scary. But yeah, I had to get like a phone and everything like right away. And so
you never even had a phone up to this point. They finally were like, all right, we'll skip all the rules of phone.
They had to beg me to get a phone because I was like, I don't want a phone. Like, I don't want to fall into that like looking
zone.
at this.
Oh, I love that. God, you're an anomaly. Can I just, I was like, we need to make that a quote and just hand that out at events. Like Katie Grimes did not want a phone, people.
Yeah.
Right? That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So then what was it like being around your idols? Because now you're a part of a team with people that you aspired to be like, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how that dynamic maybe changed for you.
Yeah. It was definitely surreal just because everything, once it started, it just kept on coming. And so like things that would have been crazy, I was like, oh yeah. Cause like I didn't have the time to like sit down and soak it up because I was just like running around and like things were flying at me. So it was just like really looking back on it, I am so happy that I journaled throughout the whole thing because I can look back on it and be like, oh, that's such a funny memory. Or like now I can reach out to this person and like let them know how appreciative I am of them. So things like that are just like super special to me. But the biggest takeaway I had from that whole trip was definitely the connections I made and just like the friendships that I built, because that lasts longer than like any race or any of that. So,
was there any source of like inspiration or stories that might have happened there that really kind of hit home with you and that you still kind of carry with you? Like advice they would have given you as like a young swimmer coming up the ranks?
Yeah. I definitely had a lot of like, people being like, giving me advice before my race. They were like, look, nobody wants to get beat by a 15-year-old, especially not at the Olympics. So like, you have to go out there and just be yourself and like, don't be nervous. Like they're scared of you. And just like that kind of like hyped me up stuff. And I didn't know like until that point that that's like what I really liked before races was like getting hyped up and getting all this encouragement. So because before that on club team, it's like very different. It's very different environment. And so it's
What's different about the environment on a club team?
I would say it's just very like less camaraderie, I would say.
Okay, I could see that. Like people are more like kind of in their head, maybe listening to Eminem. I could see you like listening
100%. Yeah. It's a lot more like individualized, I guess, on a club team. Especially the club I came from was just very competitive and like very serious. So I would say like going to the Olympics and seeing like the real team aspect of it was a huge like changer for me.
I love that you got to experience that and that it was so uplifting too. That's what I think is so powerful about like the Olympic Games is you were one of the representatives, the elite that like represented America, like the United States. Like that's, for me, like the pressure would have probably scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you kind of deal with the pressures of just, that weight or that responsibility? Was that something you thought about, or you're like, you know what, we're all in this together and we're representing our country?
I would say like the naive like mindset I had at the age of 15 definitely came in clutch when it was like time to compete, because I didn't have like social media or any of that stuff. So I do feel like social media puts a big weight on athletes. But then secondly, obviously like the pride of the country and like wanting to uplift that also can like put a weight on you, but only in the way that you like view it. If you view it in a negative way, then obviously it's going to feel like it's holding you back. But you always hear pressure as a privilege, and I think that's very true, especially for athletes. Like, yeah, we do get to represent USA. Like, that's awesome, and it should be scary, and like we should want to do it well. So I feel like that's a good thing.
Wow, that just gave me chills. I love that you had just the power of how you perceive something is how you're going to carry that forward, right? You could make it this very negative thing and it can turn into a negative aspect, or you could have this positive like mindset about it. That's something that we have talked about in the past, and honestly, when we first kind of came into a partnership with you, just because you are like, born and raised in Nevada and a client of the bank, which is also super awesome already. But there was some things that our CEO told us about you that really resonated with me. Like one of those things was that your motto is happy, humble, and hungry. Like, it's so funny because without knowing you, I was like, oh, she's my people. Because in my department, ours was humble and hungry.
Oh, really?
The happy part I forgot about. I was like, you should just be happy because you're here. But it was humble and hungry because we always believe in something like that. So when I heard that was kind of a motto that you think about, I was like, oh my God, this makes complete sense. And there's just so much synergy there.
Yeah.
So is when you went to the Olympics and you realized, wow, this is more of a team sport than I've realized going into club teams and things like that, where it's just very individualized and maybe you're more in your head before races. Is that something that you thought about when you went back into other like swimming events where you're like, hey guys, we need to talk to each other, like boost each other up a little bit? And is that something that you think about at all, like trying to share that with others?
Yes, definitely. I think having encouragement, even throughout just like practice, is such a game changer, because it's already hard being there sometimes. Like, not every day is perfect. Not every day you want to go. So, like, the days where your teammate is struggling, it's really helpful knowing what they like to hear. So, we had a preseason meeting where we just, like, would talk about how we like to be motivated and how like we like to motivate others, because I feel like that's very subjective. Like some people really like to be like, wow, like let's go, and other people are more like quiet and like to just kind of so it's important to know like who likes what. And I feel like once you get that established, it makes everything really like way more exciting, because the energy's higher, people are more excited, you have each other's backs. So I feel like that's a good part to it.
Yeah, I love the energy aspect for me in honestly anything, like sports especially, but also just people feed off of that. It becomes contagious. I try to remind myself of that when maybe I'm having not a great day, is like you can't allow that to affect the way that you're going to be around other people.
Totally, yeah.
Like you have to be able to put that aside, and I say fake it till you make it. Like if you pretend like you're in a good mood, I promise you will end up being in a good mood. Like that will absolutely happen.
Yeah.
And then you'll make other people feel that way too. And then they'll kind of share that too. It's just like this, ripple effect that
100%,
takes place.
Yeah.
So then that Olympic Games you kind of went through, you had this amazing experience. When you came back after that, what was like the next goal for Katie? Was it, now I'm doubling down and I'm going to go to the Olympics and I'm going to win a medal?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, I didn't realize that swimming never stops. Like, in my mind, I only knew there was the Olympics. I didn't know there was like world championships and Pan Pacs and things like that. So the calendar is full, even in between like Paris and LA. Like there's going to be competitions. So yeah, I just didn't know that. And I didn't know you had to requalify each time. So we learned a lot. Like I learned a lot about what this sport demands and what it takes to have longevity in it. And so I am really appreciative for that experience, and I feel like I got started with it at such a good time because I just really wanted to reach that level, and like this feels right to me. Like I'm doing what I love, and I love competing, and I love learning, and I feel like I still have so much more to like experience and more to learn, and also just like building more connections and stuff like that. So I feel like, yeah, I'm really excited for the next couple years and maybe even like decades. So,
wow, yeah, that would be amazing. I'm excited to see kind of where you go with your career. One thing about now having a career in swimming is it's a job, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's monetized. So, and it's kind of like your own little business, if you will. So with that, like, how are you dealing with just understanding how to manage your money and different things like that? What are some of the things that you're dipping your toe into on the finance perspective?
Yeah, I personally knew nothing about all that. Like it really makes sense to me now, but like you said, once you reach a certain level, like you are a business. Like you have your image and like your brand and like all that stuff. And so I got an agent shortly before Paris. I think maybe like 2 years before Paris. So that helped a lot. Like now we had someone to help with managing, brand deals and sponsorships and things like that. And then also just like money. Like I had to get my own checking account and savings account. And obviously my mom and dad helped with that. And I don't know anything about finances. So it's been a really interesting path for sure. And it's quite interesting actually, like learning about investments and, building your brand and learning like what to associate with and like what would be good for like your image and like, really leaning into being authentic, because I feel like that is really like what will make sponsorships like even more special. So I think that learning about all that stuff has been really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm fascinated by it even all the time when I kind of see different people curating a brand. And I do agree with the authenticity. I feel like it's not work, and it shouldn't be, right? Like the people and the companies that you align with should be things that you're like, I actually see myself using this or doing this.
Exactly,
Yeah, and I love it. And I know that that's kind of how you guys treat those things too, which is, I think, just the right way to do it. It's not about maximizing, profits or anything like that. It's about aligning with the things that you could put your name behind and that you truly do feel good about, which is nice. So the personal branding thing is very interesting when it comes to athletes as well, especially when it comes to leveraging all the different uses of technology and social media. How do you deal with that? Or what are some of the things that maybe you could share with other young people about just using those tools, right? That's how I view it. Not, something you should consume yourself with, but like a tool.
Yeah, 100%. I think that social media has now played such a big role in like all that stuff. Like companies will go and look at your Instagram page and be like, okay, like that's all they have to go off of. So I can totally understand why people like consume themselves with it, because a lot of the time that's what people judge you off of is like your social media page. So I feel like as a professional athlete, you want to come off like authentic, and that's been something that I've really like held true to, is just like making sure I'm not associating with anything that I wouldn't actually use, or like a product that I wouldn't actually like enjoy or something like that. So every brand deal I've had has been like, I'm really not good at social media. I'm really not good at like posting or like making TikToks or like anything like that. I don't even have a TikTok account. But like,
that's not a bad thing. That's refreshing.
Yeah, I just think that like that's totally what it's about now. Is like posting unboxings and like get ready with me's and things like that. So I've definitely had to educate myself with that stuff. But yeah, just like going through that whole process of being like, that's my dream sponsor, like that's something I wouldn't like particularly want to like promote or like things like that. So that's been really fun too, is like I've learned a lot about how that works and like how to build relationships with companies. And one big thing in swimming is like your suit sponsor. That's like, I mean, as swimmers, we're not wearing much. Like we just have our swimsuit, our cap and goggles, and like that's it. You don't have like many ways to express yourself to like viewers or things like that, because you can't like do hairstyles, you can't do like makeup or, you know, cool clothes or anything like that. So I feel like, you know, being really, you know, personable outside of the pool helps a lot for like swimmers in specifics. But yeah, like my advice to just younger people when it comes to social media and things like that, I would say like hold off as long as possible. Don't take my advice because it's probably not the best, but like I would not have social media if it wasn't for like sponsorships and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would agree. I think about it. Matthew McConaughey said it best, actually, where he said, you know, social media or really any type of engagement like that is like having a license. Like it's like learning how to drive. Like there's rules of the road and all that stuff. And you need to know how to do it responsibly, because what you talked about with like athletes and mental health, and just honestly, even if you're not an athlete, just going through rabbit holes of things that maybe you shouldn't. And it's designed for you to just fall into a hole. And so if you disengage or don't know, you know, about it and don't start it, then you won't know any better, right? It won't be something that you have to kind of unteach or unravel out of your own daily practices, which I think sports probably do help a lot with that too, because it sounds like you have been so busy. I love that you talked about like the journaling piece when you were in the Olympics, because what a special time for you to just be in the moment and absorb it, but then write down so many of the things that you experienced and be able to actually reflect on it and really think about what that meant for you.
Yeah.
Is there any like particular passage that you think about or have read recently that you're like, wow, I lived through that. Like I did that.
I definitely like have had some crazy experiences. Like when I was 15, after Tokyo, I had another competition that winter in Abu Dhabi, and I got COVID and had to quarantine in Abu Dhabi for 2 weeks. Like the entire team had left, the competition was over, and I was stuck there. And my parents weren't there. Like I was stuck in this hotel room for 2 weeks over Christmas, missed Christmas.
Oh no, and you were sick?
And I was sick. It was awful. And I just like remember journaling about it and looking back at that. I'm like, what was I doing? Like, why was I in Abu Dhabi at 15? But it's just like things like that I hopefully one day, like 30 years from now, I can look back on and like maybe write a book and like use those firsthand experiences from, because I am definitely like grateful for it, because like you said, being in the moment is like something I really like to focus on now, because you can really take for granted like your experiences, and then you don't realize that until they're over. So I really am one for like just soaking it in and making sure I can like remember these things and hold them to my heart. So yeah.
That's amazing for you to say that at such a young age, that you are really focusing on being in the moment. I think it's so hard to do. You know, it's something that I almost try to force myself, and then I'm like, I'm trying too hard, Megan. Now you're thinking too much about being in the moment. You're not even in the moment. It's like, what are you doing? So it's something that if you're practicing it already now, like you're going to be able to do that. And that authenticity, that everything that you engage with when you're here or when you're with your friends is just going to be that much more meaningful. So now that you're, you know, this amazing athlete and you have a silver medal that you brought back to the great Silver State, so fitting, what like are some of the things now that you kind of do within the community? Like there's a lot of things that you're engaged with here.
Yeah. So most recently we had a swim clinic a few days ago with Nevada State Bank, and that was really awesome. Like, I love doing that, like working directly with the little kids and just like young athletes in the sport, because they're just so full of like joy and they just love being in the water. And so I feel like that was a great experience just to like connect with the community and like spread the joy, you know?
Was there anything in particular that you share with like younger athletes coming up, like now that you're seasoned at 19? What are some of the things that you kind of share with other people trying to move up in the sport?
I definitely like to tell them to just find your joy and like make sure that you first are having fun, because that's what's going to keep you in it the longest. And I'm like speaking from my own experience there, because, you know, people say like if you enjoy the journey more than you enjoy the destination, like you're going to keep walking longer. And I totally agree with that, just because, you know, you don't want to be miserable every day and like you don't want to dread what you do. So I feel like finding joy in it is the most important thing for sure. And just being passionate about it and, you know, leaning on the people around you for sure.
God, you're so beyond your years. I love enjoy the journey. We always get so fixated on the end result rather than really understanding. And I like that you say you'll be in it longer too. Like you'll actually enjoy what you're doing. And that part of it means so much more than actually achieving what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating. So with the sport being so individualized, but then in the Olympics and just in the team environment, there's also that team aspect.
Yeah.
Do you ever find that to be somewhat of a challenge of like switching gears from like I'm individually competing to now I'm a part of a team and I need to do the team thing? Like, is there any separation there, or is that just come easily for you?
I would say it's definitely like it comes very easily. Especially with USA, like we have great culture, and even with, like you said, it's very individual. Like I can be, you know, racing someone, you do the race, you come out and you're best friends. Like it's nothing should like in the water should impact that, in my opinion. Like I keep things very separate. Like racing is racing and teamwork is teamwork. Like that is very separate for me, which I think all athletes can agree on. Like, one thing about USA is like they take the top 2 finishers in each event and then they race it at the Olympics or World Championships or whatever. And so you have your teammate in the event and then you race each other. You both want the same thing, but then you come out of it and you're, you know, supporting each other and you have each other's backs. And I think that's the really cool thing about it. And I've also really learned that at college swimming too. Like it's just a completely different environment than club swimming, because college swimming is very like peppy and like very energetic, and you know, you have dual meets where like Virginia will go against North Carolina or something like that. And so you really rally together as a team to score points, and I feel like that kind of culture is way, way more fun, and like that's what keeps people in it, and I think that's what also grabs more of an audience for the sport. But yeah, it also is cool to like lean into your own mindset of being like very focused and like not letting outsiders or competitors like impact that at all, because at the end of the day it's like you have your own lane and no one or like nothing can impede on that, because it's just you in the water and it's a time. It's not like wrestling where it's like strictly based off of your competitor. Like this is just very much between you and like how fast you can do something. It's not like gymnastics either, where it's like, you know, you have judges and it's subjective. Like this is like as down to the wire as it gets.
You're either at the end first or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
what are some of the things that you think about when you're in the water? Is your mind going, or is it complete silence and just focus?
It depends. Like my best races, I'm not thinking about anything typically. Like I'll black out almost and I get out and I'm like, what just happened? But other times, like during practice, I'm thinking about like everything, like singing a song or thinking about like something embarrassing that happened, or I don't know, just like whatever.
Oh, I love that. What songs do you sing? Any that I might know?
No Backstreet Boys, like, unfortunately, but
bummer.
I have been into Stevie Nicks a lot lately. She's like my top,
Okay,
so,
wow.
yeah.
Isn't Stevie Nicks in Vegas? I think they're in. I think
She's starting
I
her
swear
tour.
I saw her at Nataya's one time. Maybe I'm.
No, like in person.
I could be lying. I don't know.
That'd be crazy.
I thought it was.
That'd be
I'm
crazy.
gonna go back there now and ask them. Was I imagining this or was this real? So that I could tell you if I'm lying or not.
Okay, awesome.
But so you've competed in open water and in pool.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the differences between those two, because that sounds like very unique. Those are two completely different styles, right?
Yeah.
And that's not common for a swimmer to do both. Mm-hmm. So what's that like?
Open water swimming is very different. It's like how I was just talking to you earlier about how you just have your own lane in swimming. Like, that is not the case in open water swimming. There's no lanes. Like, it's really a free-for-all. And the shortest race is an hour, where in swimming the shortest race is 20 seconds. So it's very different. In open water swimming, I do the 10K, which is a 2-hour race. And we have raced in a lot of different places. Like, I've swam in the Seine, which is where the Olympics were in Paris, which was like a river. And that was very challenging. That was the first river I ever swam in. We've raced in the ocean, in lakes, like, you name it. We've probably done it. So it's very an interesting sport because it takes you to a lot of cool places, but also it's challenging. Like, it's really, really hard. It's different every time. It's hard to know what to expect because so many things can happen and a lot changes during the race. And there's a lot of strategy behind it as well. And in swimming, it's very consistent. Like, pool swimming is very consistent. Every pool is 50 meters long. Like, there's no current. You're not having to draft off of anybody or anything like that. So, open water swimming is just a completely different animal. And yeah, I mean, they're both very awesome. And being able to compete in both of them last year was like awesome. That was my goal pretty much of the summer, was just to be able to compete in both. And it's not as typical to do that. In Europe, you'll see it more. Like, more athletes do open water swimming in Europe. It's not as common in USA, but it's starting to be. It's starting to come to light more. So that's awesome to see. But yeah, doing both was interesting, but also really fun.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with the open water swimming and how challenging that would be. But you talk about strategy. What are some of the things that you maybe train on, or like your coach kind of talks to you about when you're, because it's going to change when you're in the water, and you're the one making those decisions. So walk me through that a little bit, because that sounds interesting.
It's really hard to replicate what will happen in a race like anywhere else other than the race. So it's kind of hard to train for, just because, you're going up against 30 other girls from all over the world that swim it very differently. Not everyone swims it the same way, so you have to be aware of that. And because it's very like pack strategy, like everyone's kind of going up and down the pack, like drafting off of each other and, making moves. We go around buoys, so it's like a lap. We usually do like 5 laps around a course. So not only do you have to like be paying attention to these other swimmers around you, but also be looking up and like making sure you're staying on course and like going towards the buoy. There isn't like lane lines or markers or anything like that. So it's a very challenging sport in terms of like you're thinking the whole time, which in pool swimming you can kind of like go on autopilot. But in open water swimming, like my brain is on full blast like the whole time. And so it's a mentally challenging race as well. But I think one thing about it that's like pretty unique is that, like you said, you're the only one out there like making those decisions. And so your coach can like talk with you however much you want beforehand, but once you get in there and like it's actually playing out, you have to be like capable to handle those changes. And so one thing we train a lot with is like reviewing old races and like reviewing how people have swam before, and like usually you'll notice a pattern and be able to expect things. So I think that helps a lot in terms of like making a race strategy, and then also just like being able to handle things that get thrown at you. So being apt for change as well.
Yeah, the only thing constant is change. It's so fun that you're getting to experience all of these things, because so many principles and experiences that you're having like in the water and racing are things that are adaptable across like so many different areas of your life and what you're going to go through. That's really fascinating. So now you're at the University of Virginia and also competing in swim and, you know, have this career. How do you balance all of that? That's like you have like 3 full-time jobs.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Like, I didn't realize how quiet of a life like I had here in Vegas until I went to college. And I mean, it's not that it's, you know, hectic, but it's definitely more busy and like a little chaotic. But, you know, not only do you have school and practice, but you have like social life and like friends and like relationships you have to uphold and like things like that. So that has been a really fun aspect of Virginia. Just like, I love it there. Like, I love the team. We have a great culture. We have a great foundation, and practice is super, super fun. I did online school all of high school, so going to class now is very different for me. Like, having a professor and like having homework and all that stuff, I never had to do that. So now I'm like you said, I feel like I have 3 full-time jobs just because I have places to be at like a specific time, and like I'm
You're, like,
being
running the
graded
class.
and things
You're
like
like,
that. So yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, that is, I mean, your talent of time management and focus and determination is something that I envy. I mean, that's you were able to instill that and kind of have that at a very young age, and it sounds like it's just carrying forward into everything you do, which is so cool. So, last question, what do you think is a guiding principle that you have in life right now that you'd want to share with other people listening to this podcast?
Right now, I definitely have had many like throughout my life. I feel like I always used to tell myself trust in the process, and I feel like that one still is like prominent in my life, just because, you know, things can happen and change will come at you, and adversity, like success, whatever it may be, but like you can't really get too high in your highs and you can't get too low in your lows, just because you have to stay on like this even path and like, you know, remember what your end goal is and not get too carried away in anything that could happen along the way. But one that I've been like reminding myself a lot recently is, and actually I don't remember where I heard this, but it's the grass is greener where you water it, which I think is such a cool like little saying, because it's so true. Like, you can always be like, oh, well, what if I did this, or like, what if I did that, or this would have been better, or like, you know, I wish I was there. But if you just like put all that stress and like focus and worry that you're putting in all these other places and like channel that into where you are now, I feel like you'll really see changes then, if you're just like focusing on what you can control, and not like what could potentially be happening that's not even happening. Like, I feel like that's something that I like to remind myself of, because I can get really carried away in other things. So yeah.
Wow, the grass is greener where you water it. I love it. You are well beyond your years. I feel like you're older than me, and that's absolutely not true. But thank you so much, Katie, for doing an episode of Through the Door, the insider's perspective on running a business. Please subscribe and tune in if you haven't. We have some great episodes, and this is definitely one that you will not be disappointed if you watch. Thank you.
Thank you.